Hey, Pinky. How's it going, dude? that's a good thing. How's your week been so far, dude? Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you, mate. Really good. I'm excited for this 24-hour stream on Friday evening. It'll be fun. You also now have gambling. I don't know how it works. Yeah, you get points somehow. Not sure how. A big fuck off metal beam that I can barely see. Is useful. Now we have to go deeper into Croydon. Always handy. Hey, Lyndon. I have not tried Dark Tide yet. I only got back on on Monday evening. So I was back at work yesterday, and now my schedule is back. And Lyndon, you'd be happy to know that there is now gambling just for you to try out. I don't know how often you get points. It's something that I'm still fucking around with. But if you do exclamation mark slots, yeah, you have no points. I don't know if I've set it up correctly. I think I have. I mean, that 6 point caps, not points. The point system is slightly different. Also, you missed a boss, Pingu. Not sure if you watched the previous VOD, but there was a boss. No, you're good. I jump up here. Will I die if I jump up here? Oh, it's not letting me go that way. Ah, so you saw the boss. I think just by watching Lyndon, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure it is literally just by watching. If I jump down there, it's going to kill me, innit? Oh, no, it won't. Okay. Physically won't let me go up here. So I've got a support beam, so it's 20, 50, 10. So 20 steel, 50 mats. Big gun on his shield. Oh, where's that gone? I'll over there for a sec so I can see it. So, no. So you got bits, which is Twitch's currency system. Obviously, that's paid for. You got my channel points, which are caps. I am working. Well, I'm on to make a custom system for the caps. So for now, points will have to. You'll have to accrue more points. But they should be fairly easy to get. Let me check. It should be fairly straightforward to capture. Have a look. Slot machines. I don't actually say how often do you get them. It must be overtime. It has to be overtime. Exactly that. Leaderboard, no. Contestant viewer queue, no. I'm pretty sure it's just one of those. You got to wait. I'm afraid. Oh, roulette's not even enabled. We will enable roulette for you. And we'll do points as well, so you can see the points. I mean, there's bingo there as well, but I don't think you want bingo, do you? Yeah, I think I'll give you guys some points to start off with, but at the moment it just won't be now because I'm still, trying to get these little things working. I forgot to do something. Bear with me 2 seconds, because I'm an idiot. Bingo's great. What do you want about? Bingo is fucking amazing. Give me 1 second, eh? Also, Lyndon, how many times do you reckon I'm gonna die? This stream will be about an hour or two tops. Because I have got to be up quite up early in the morning for work. Maybe a bit longer. I'm not entirely sure yet. I can't imagine it being too much longer than 3 hours tops. That makes no sense. How's your week been so far, though, Lyndon? You may cheat your way, is what you're saying. Right, that's done. Right. So we need to go back to my little shack. Get some more goodies. I mean, I reckon come the 24 hours stream, I reckon I'm going to be on nearly 60 to 70. I hope not, but you never know. I might be throwing in a few incentives as well to potentially screw me over. I've got a few ideas. Wait, where's more junk? Oh, it's in here, innit? I mean, I definitely doubled up last time. But that's because I was being a bit of an idiot and not looking properly. So I need 20 steel. which I have plenty of. That's not a problem. I mean, don't be too harsh on me. That's one thing I do politely ask. I forgot to message Riptider. How fucking dare I? I know Rip likes to watch me fail as well. Right, what is that I needed? So 20 steel, 50 wood. I don't think I've got enough wood. Yeah, see, I'm still short on wood. Wood is something I'm going to have to sort out. And screws. I think I'll use all my screws. Oh no, I have just enough. That's ideal. So, I need wood. No comment on that one, Tom. How you doing, dude? I hope you're doing good. I saw you were streaming earlier. I'm not sure if you still are. Am I still... Nope. What's the keybind again? I can't remember, is it Q? I thought it was Q. It turns out it's not Q. So basically, when I was streaming a while ago... Not. Hello, Rip. With me being an idiot, I would say lots of stupid shit. And it just pulls up a random quote of what I've said. Now you've entered creative mode and a realization I need to clear a backlog of games I have. And at the moment, I don't have any quotes set up because I need to import them all from when I was last streaming. I've got a few. A few of them Riptide are actually quoted. But I will get them up. It's on my list to sort out in a moment. I've got a few more little things. Oh, I'm not being racist at all. What do you want about? You think everything's racist, Tom? You're a racist. I'm just doing this so I can get wood, man. Percentage, quote user, percentage. There you go, now said it. I don't mean this. I mean, that isn't so I'll change it on this stream. It means you'll have to pick my next game for my next stream. Which, I mean, you can do if you really want to. I don't have Barbie. How do you not have points? I don't think I've set something up properly. Do exclamation mark points, see what it gives you. Stream elements is shite, but unfortunately for what I'm trying to do, there's 1 out of 0 on leaderboard. I tried making my own slot versions. I haven't got those sort of commands running. But I might have to set one up just for you now. I just calls you out to be a cunt. Surely I have enough wood now. Surely. That's the wrong button. The 24-hour, I'm planning on it only being Fallout. Depending on how we get on with the game, I might switch it up to something else. But predominantly, it will be Fallout. I don't actually have an Xbox. I am a PlayStation bitch. Always have been. PlayStation and PC. Da, da, da. Thank you very much for the hydrate, Kitty Hana. Hope you're doing good. I'm pretty sure I've got a 360 in the loft somewhere. The poor thing just hasn't been touched or done anything in fucking years. When I move out, I'm going to be finding all sorts of crap. How's it going, Kitty? Hope you're doing good. Hope your week has been going good so far. I have no reason to touch my Xbox 360 when I have a PS5 and a very nice computer. You love Fallout 4 or the Fallout 4 London mod? Because I love them all. I love Fallout in general. Oh, Lyndon, I have got so much crap in my loft. It is ridiculous. I'm one of those people who refuses... Oh, that's going to hurt me. Not by much, actually. I'm one of those people where I keep the box of every icon. Not every icon, sorry. Of every bit of tech I own. Everything. Even old stuff I don't have anymore. Find out, Tom. Find out what Drop a Nuke does. I love all the Fallouts. I am a big Fallout nut. I was very happy when this got released. Which is your favourite Fallout? Thank you, Tom. I forgot how long this is. I love the TV show as well. I cannot wait until December, until it comes out. And I'm a bit annoyed I have to wait until December, to be honest with you.
No.
I really should have put a cooldown on these for you fuckers. Thank you for the posture check, Tom.
May the flames guide it.
Croydon does not normally look like this.
Your ark. Who is Peter wanders the road?
Seek the leader.
Speak us not of questions.
It does look a lot better, to be honest. I'm not going to fault that.
Think verily and speak. Who is thy master?
Well, who's yours?
Shut both thine eyes. What dost thou see?
The dark.
Take me in jest. Be I a
Derp.
fool? 3 go. 1 last. Tell me, what will now pass?
Thankfully, these questions. You're annoying me.
Yea go. I take the verse, so we may converse. How may I help thee?
Why are you talking like this?
As a foreigner, thou hast the power to reach places our hands cannot. Hark, our ancient books describe a magical...
I don't actually like the way he's
known as
talking.
Prosperity's
That's really annoying.
Book. An inscription lieth at the start of our texts. It names a globe. Haply the book be there.
What will you give me? Kitty, as well. If you like Fallout, I am actually doing a 24-hour Fallout stream from Friday 6:30 GMT all the way to Saturday evening at 6 o'clock, so a full 24 hours.
There'll be a name inscribed upon the first page of our
If that's the kind of thing you will be
location.
looking for.
To think, perchance to dream.
I will get your book for you, don't worry. Are we playing Fallout? Fallout London.
And you, Diego, I have too grieved a heart to take a...
Just Fallout 4. Fallout 4 will be London mod.
Something is wrong. I will stay vigilant.
Because my amazing community actually achieved a community goal.
Welcome, welcome.
I sound surprised by that, but I'm not surprised. Oh, you are a trader. I don't think I would be able to do a 48-hour stream, Lyndon. I mean, to be fair, what I could do is I could turn it into a subathon or something similar. I've not really done one before, but we shall see. I do have a few curveballs that I will be putting in there. It's not pathetic. Streamer health. Well, I hadn't streamed in a while, and I came back because people were asking me to carry on playing this playthrough, and I set a goal of 35,000 points in my channel. If they reached that within 9 days, then I'd do a 24-hour stream. They did it in 3 or 4 streams, which surprises me. So I am very happy and also surprised. It is really awesome. I have an awesome community behind me.
The flames keep it to village hot. Make your stout.
Hey, too kind, Pingy. Too kind. That is a good point, Tom. I forgot to put that redeem on. Remind me. Remind me after this stream and I'll get it set up here in, well, the minute you tell me. I'm supposed to be going to meet someone. I can't remember who it was now. Speak to Lieutenant Buckley. Okay, you are somewhere up here, but there's a door in there. Now show Cat. Cat is currently eating. I'm not going to go show Cat what he's eating. I apologise. I'm going to say you're there. What are you waffling on about, Tom? If I knew what you were saying, or what you were even waffling about. I don't think I will, Kitty. I tend to be a bit of an idiot in this game. Like, as you can see, I've got a death counter set up here as well. You know what, Lyndon? I actually forgot about that as well. I was very tired. But you'll be glad I didn't send you those 2 photos, because that food was actually pretty disgusting. I wasted £20 on that. And I'm not going to go there again. Very dark down here. It was not worth it at all. It was actually very disappointing. Ah, there she is. It wasn't anything special. It was literally just... I mean, the burger was delicious. I'll say that. But everything else just wasn't nice.
Has a second bridge been built?
Yes, it has. Why, regretfully? What's my reward?
Thinking about that.
Give me tickets.
You've not only done a good job, but also serviced the Tommies dutifully. For this, I'm giving you this written commendation. It's a fun prize. For a fun man. The Tommies will be proud to have you. Not just that. I'm also giving you the stim packs we brought along with us, just before the bridge collapsed.
I'm going to need those,
more than us.
because I'm a stupid Onyx.
We'll head back to Brixton now. May God guide your path, my friend.
These tunnels are no laughing matter.
I mean, I'm a night owl, so 24 hours shouldn't be too bad for me. I'm hoping. I mean, I'll probably be very groggy towards the end of it, but no, I'm playing Fallout with this amazing community, and it will be very fun. I'm really looking forward to doing it. 12 hours though, you know, that's still a pretty long stream. I don't think I've done longer than an 8-hour stream before. And let's go back to... Let's just finish off this quest line entirely. Then we'll come back.
Rule Britannia,
Britannia rule the waves.
Britain's never...
Oh, most likely. But that's why I've booked off half day on Friday. And I've kind of timed it in a way, so 6 PM on Friday. Obviously, stream. 12 hours. Oh, sorry, 24 hours. It'll be 6 PM on Saturday, which means I can sleep from 6 PM. I don't care if I sleep in a bit on Sunday. But that shouldn't be too bad, I'm hoping. But we'll find out. I don't think I'll be too bad. And even if I do, you know, even if it does hit me like a freight train, you know, I've had fun. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. What killed me? What killed me? I don't know what killed me. I blame you, Lyndon. You bastard. Lyndon summoned me into this vast pit of gooiness. I don't need to. I've got Gav. Gaz. I keep calling him fucking Gav. It's Gaz. I've got Gaz for that for me. I don't actually need to run down here, do I? No, I don't. Wasting pointless energy. Lyndon, you are my biggest death cultist. I'm pretty sure you summon all the death to me in this game. See what Commander Gunner has to say to me. Hopefully he says, you've done a great job, Onyx. Come and be my second lieutenant in our faction I don't want to be a part of. Also, I think once we've done this playthrough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another Fallout playthrough, but of the vanilla game, but with quality of life mods.
There you are.
That's my plan anyway.
Great builder.
I'm the
Don't
great
rest on your
builder.
laurels.
No.
We have no time to celebrate. Private Clark told me the truth. I put out a quick warrant for those 2 lying Brixtonians, and they disappeared. Do these people think I'm a fool? I'll tax them into hell.
I think you're a
See
fool.
if they're still laughing then.
Oh yeah. No, I'll try Dark Tide out first. Don't worry.
Fine. I'll show these people what true courage looks like.
I don't like
You
him.
tell that madman Roach no more taxes. His people can hold on to their meager tickets for now, but I'll be watching them. I'll civilize Brixton if it's the last thing I do.
This guy's a bit of a prick. I have to go.
Then.
Bear me 2 seconds. I have to reply to a message. Okay, that's not that important actually. Wait. I'm just seeing if a certain game has released something. Updates. They have. Oh, okay. Well, that's grim. Why have they done that? Starting conditions from a new war are horrible, Lyndon, if you've seen them. I will 100% be playing Dark Tide. 100%. It should run on stream quite comfortably. It should run buttery smooth, but you never know with streaming. One little thing can cause a lot of hiccups. The rainbows. I can be falling asleep. Wow. I'm not going to fall asleep. I'm going to be there for the entire 24 hours. It's more like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like this. The very traditional north and south. So we control the 3 islands on the west side instead of the east. If you were in our Bone Discord, Lyndon, you'd see it. But yeah, Sidious Goose, I will 100% be awake for it. I don't sleep. I'm a night owl.
Tommy's have informed me the tax raises off.
See, I've seen people play the tabletop version, and it looks interesting. Not interesting enough for me to get involved in it.
Here, 300 tickets. A part of what we would have paid to Doyle.
300.
The part that is now rightfully
Yeah, fuck you, Doyle.
yours.
I get all the tickets. Now sign my petition.
Yes, you've helped us, so we can indeed help you.
Oh yeah.
May you forever walk in the canyon's path. I know of both the lie and the runaways. I've known the lies.
Realize it's mariachi time.
Apologies for the subterfuge, but I had to keep it a secret.
Yeah, absolutely about Lyndon. That's probably the right way of thinking about it, actually. The lore is more than enough.
I hope you'll forgive me. The canyon already has.
I'll be on my way.
Be with you.
Thank you.
Oh, how I wish we could stay like this forever.
Who said that? Now, I used to work with someone who was heavily into 40k. And they ended up 3D printing his own tabletop map. And it was insane. I don't... if there's anything new that isn't on that PowerPoint rip, then I will, yes. I don't think anything's going to change apart from what we're going to do with the war. Nerd. I ain't no nerd. The only nerdy thing I do is Lego. Specifically, Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars is elite. Really birdie. Oh, you mean Lyndon? Oh, no, you mean my mate. Yeah, I will make notes for you, mate. Don't worry. Tom, what quest line did you say I was on? I have a mission called A View to Kill. Oh, that one. Okay, we'll do that one next. We'll do that quest line next. Oh, no, we won't. No, we're halfway through the current quest line. God damn it. Let's get this one done first. Now, it's just Hackney. If I remember correctly, this is bugged. We tried it last week, and I couldn't talk to the guy. He just point blank refused to sign my petition. And he's a dickhead. Oh, excuse me. Da-da. Oh, I'm just enjoying this for the music as well. Fucking love Fallout. What I should do, Lyndon, I think you'd enjoy this, is a permadeath run. I would not last 5 minutes. You would know. No, because I'd make all the channel points stupidly expensive.
You're minutes away from my head, thank you.
Deliberately to stop you. As much as I like you, Lyndon, you would make my life living misery. Deliberately. And if it wasn't you, it'd be Epi. I don't know. They should be working. Let me have a quick Google for you. Because it should just be working. Huh. Why don't you just get points by being active? Well, I have none either. It's a bit annoying. User management. No, that's not saying anything. Modules, roulette, bingo, chat alerts, no raffle. So. Minimum points is that, but I need to give you points to do it. How the fuck do I do that? Loyalty settings? Ah! Right, okay. We're cooking. Let me just set these up. Loyalty is now enabled. So you'll get points every 5 minutes. And I've set it up to the max for you, Lyndon. So there. It's done. It's set up. It should now be working. Should be working. Are you friendly or foe?
Too fucking early.
You're too fucking early. But you gotta wait first. Wait, what the fuck? Go away. The fuck? Didn't I clear this bit already?
Is that you? Must die. Is that you? Had enough?
Maybe this is why it was bugged. Ow. Churchill, why are you being useless?
Please. Dead now. I've got you now. Please. I don't want to die. Dar? Is that you?
I actually think this was fully bugged. I don't remember this being a problem last time. Do you like that flight jacket though? So I'm going to strip you naked. Hope you don't mind. So every 5 minutes, Lyndon, you should get some points. You should get 50. Actually, that's a good point. I need to change something else. So we'll do modules. Slot machine. Minimum points is going to be 10. No, we'll do 5. There we go. Tweaks for you. Oh, fuck! You went hostile. I'm so sorry. Fuck! It's your fault, Lyndon. Five minutes, guys. 5 minutes. That's all you gotta wait. Then you can get your gambling fix. I promise you. I think that one might have been epic, to be fair. Manifesting. I've got to have this. It's not been hours, it's been half an hour. And that's because I got it set up incorrectly. I'll have you know. Oh, I should not be using that. Don't want to use that. Where's my little pistol? Oh, there he is.
They got me.
Come here, you little fuck. Oh, I'll get a double stab. I've been waiting weeks. Behave.
Come on then, mate. Do your best. Not like this.
It's been half an hour, and that's only because I've just set it up.
Have a fucking taste of this. Get the bastard. You want to see what we can do?
I'm like a proper old-fashioned street fight here. You know what? I'm sick of a street fight. How are you not dying? Excuse me, sir. I mean, point blank's always going to kill you. Oh, I bugged him.
Is that you?
Get fucked. Look, if I could give you points, I would, alright? But I can't. The point system equally hates me.
You want to see what we can do?
Want to see what you can do? Nothing, because you are dead. You should have died. Why are you not dying? That's it. Pokey stick. Get fucked. I think you'll pay for this. How can you talk when you're being obliterated? I swear to God, Lyndon. I'm pretty sure I'm going the right way. I am. The shop. I don't know why they were hostile towards me. Fuck off. Fuck off. Shut the fuck up. We call them minor inconveniences. Alright? That's what they are. They're just minor. I really hope this isn't bugged anymore. I'm not enjoying this gun sounds. Okay, no, it's not with me. That's fine. Right. Is it going to be bugged? You call it tyranny. Well, I don't. Call it being nice. Actually, you know what, Lyndon? I can spell your name right. Check now, Lyndon. There you go.
Hello? I told you, I'm not signing it.
Why? Why are you being a douchebag? You lost 5 points. Oh, actually, hold a minute. Now you've done that, let me change something else. There you go. I've just changed it. Now you can. To an extent, though. Speak to Dennis and Joan. Word around alls. For fuck's sake, man. To get this questline done, dusted. See, there's another questline that I've fucked up on. That's counter fuck to this. Which is also a possibility. Never much luck there at all, Lyndon, are you? It's not rigged at all, actually. It's on 50-50 percentage. You could win. You could lose. I don't know why you don't have no points. That is a mystery. I don't actually know why you have no points. Hold on, let me give you some. I don't know. I'll give you some manually. Now I know how to do it. You bow to Von Linden. Don't do that. For God's sake, don't do that. I'll never hear the end of it. You should be getting some. Subscribers receive 750 points every 5 minutes. So I don't know why. It does not like you, Tom. Because I'm trying to give it to you. I'm trying to give it to you. Oh, there you go. Now you come. I didn't bring anything. What up, Dennis?
So you're the mysterious stranger with a roundel.
That would be Miller, the blighter walled up behind us.
We've just been discussing the best way to smash his head in. You look like you know a thing or two about that.
I love how neither of you have won fuck all yet.
We have the men for a frontal assault, but it'll get bloody fast.
There's a way around back, but we don't have the key.
Get serious.
We need a plan of attack.
I am being serious.
If you can get us in, let's go.
I want to show you that it's set to 50-50. Because it 100% is set to 50-50. It's not rigged. Hold on. Modules. Slots. So let me just make this bigger. So you see there? Where it's on 50? So you see where it says lower than 100 means people will lose points over time. That is set to 100. So I don't know. Tell you what, I would do it down to 75 for you. Oh no, I won't. I'll do it to 85. So it's actually in your favour. So now you can't moan at me. Oh, blurry as fuck. Not blurry as fuck at all. Don't know what you're on about. It should be fine. Speak to Joan to change your mind. Joan, come here. I don't want any more murder. Where's Joan? Are you Joan? Joan.
Those Burks thought that tiny lock would keep us out?
The kind that puts too much faith in the biceps.
Can you pick that lock?
Wait, lower. Wait, no, what? Oh, yeah, sorry. Alright, I'll increase it to 220 then. No, I don't. 115. There you go.
You think it's a trap?
Even with their fortifications, maybe we should rush them through the front gates.
No, you're having 115.
Apologies.
Take it or lose it.
Need to pay more attention.
If you can get us in, let's go.
Those Burks thought that tiny lock would keep us out?
The kinds that
Look,
puts too much
it
faith
was
in the
new,
biceps.
okay?
Can you pick that lock?
I don't want to pick the lock. Without using all your points. You just don't give a fuck anymore, do you? It's not rigged! Look, I increased it to 115. It goes in your favour now. I don't know how you keep losing points. Tell you what, I'm going to increase it to 125. There you go. I've not rigged it. Honestly, I've put it to 125.
Just over there, Miller's men cower. They knows they can't hold what he took from us. And today, we're gonna take it back. This day, we
You'll send me a strongly worded letter.
Today, we reclaim Roundel territory. Today, we will be victorious. For your friends and family who fell fighting, for a stronger Roundel gang than ever before, and for our fallen Prince Keith.
Are you wearing a fancy dress?
My head.
Trying to go and fight. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. I'm trying not to hit friendlies. What the fuck? I'm 100% going to hit a friendly.
Like this. Pay for that. Like this. Strangers on the prowl we are once again.
Have you not gained a single point?
Watch where you're going.
Look. I tried. Alright, clearly I've set it up incorrectly. See? Not rigged. Fuck you, Tom.
I swear.
Lyndon just has the power.
You're out dancing.
I'm not giving you any more points, Tom, either. You've lost those points. It's not rigged.
Well, we won. Go us. Do you think that side door's open? No reason.
Okay, well, that's a useful interaction.
Going down.
Considering they were trenched in and had us outgunned.
I don't know how, to be fair, Lyndon.
But that doesn't make this part any less easy. Too many. But we'll manage. North London will know Miller doesn't stand a chance against the Roundels. That'll bring fresh blood to our ranks.
Just give me accommodation or something, because I'm sick to fucking death of the other quest line.
And had us outgunned, we got off light. But that doesn't make this part any less easy. You're not wrong.
That is pretty ironic, actually. What is on the other side of this door? No one knows. It's a mystery.
If your clothes don't say something, you might as well not exist.
I just love how Lyndon is trying to get more.
Going up.
I don't know where this is going, but we'll find out in a minute. Wish my cats could play a piano.
Remember me and my valiant sacrifice. All I gave and all.
I can't let you spam it, Lyndon.
He tripped on the stairs and sprained his ankle.
Can't I have at least one dramatic monologue?
You're comic relief. But this stranger who wandered in, grabbed our roundel and charged in beside us, that's leading role material.
There are no bit roles, you know.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Well said. I certainly wouldn't take the risk.
God
Be
damn it.
happy. If you're not even happy, what's so good about surviving? We won, after all.
After missing most of the action, I might as well be dead.
Wah, wah,
Do you think
wah.
death is like a lorry?
A lorry? No. Death is like... not. It's like the negative of everything, including lorries. You can't not be on a lorry.
I'm frequently not on a
Why you
lorry.
gotta wait 10 minutes? Have I put a cooldown on them for 10 minutes?
I think he hit his head and not his ankle. Was there anything else you were looking for?
Ah, that.
Okay.
Certainly not a
I knew I
happy
put a
tale.
cooldown on some of them.
Until today.
Debatable. It started years ago, with the two Prince Davies ruled the Randalls.
Yeah, the piano
North
one's a bit
London
loud.
was
I need to
ours.
turn that one down a
Even
bit.
Gentry stayed out of our
Only
way.
a little bit, though.
And the roving gangs of skinheads kept quiet.
And then came Miller.
The punks were pushing in our sides. We were being flanked by the syndicate, and right in the middle of everything, Miller pulls the skinheads together.
It was one front too many. Keith Davies, charismatic, right quality leader.
I don't need to
was
turn
in
on
the
Lyndon.
heart of
He
the
does need
fray
more
when
cat.
Miller
I need
caught
more
him with a
cat.
pipe.
His brother
What I should do is get a cat tower here.
held him as he died.
That's what I should do.
He does, and he doesn't.
Pete Davies runs a gang, but Dennis, well, he steps in quite a bit to fill in the gaps.
You can't give me what I already
Keith
have,
left a
Lyndon.
pretty big hole, not just in our organisation, but also in the Davies themselves.
You did actually, yeah.
Even Roundel
I need to add those in.
to his head in a heartbeat.
Haha, get fucked.
Well, that and this is our corner of all Blighty.
I'm gonna make it so rigged for you now, Tom. That rigged that even when you, well, you just can't do it without losing your points.
Going down.
Lyndon. Oh, that's brilliant. I wouldn't say you're God, but you have had 2 wins now to the Tom, which makes it even slightly better. Quite funny actually as well. Da, 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 da. Lyndon, I dare you to go all in on roulette. I dare you.
Today was a great victory. We righted many wrongs, avenging Keith Davies, retaking the Oberon, and crushing Miller's men, to name a few. But this wasn't just about getting our land back. We stopped Miller cold. Miller expected we'd just sit in our thumbs and let him march across our lands. But the bastard paid for his arrogance. Yes, we suffered. We didn't expect anyone could sneak past our defenses. But thanks to our newest roundel,
You won't do it.
we remain the kings of North London!
Ronnie, my mate, my trusted friend, why don't you tell this crowd exactly what that note you were trying to burn said?
Oh, what note?
This one.
Surely there has to be 100 Ronnies out there.
But there's only one who knew our defenses. Only one who could hide dozens of men in the Oberon.
Paul and I let a bunch of skinheads into my bar.
power. I'll bet Miller promised you some fancy title. Or money. You always did like your hoard of tickets.
Oh, double crossing.
Ronnie, this is your one chance to confess. You will not get a second.
Power. Miller promised to let me rule over Oberon, and I'd sit on his council.
Dennis, it's time for you to lead. What do we do with this traitor?
That's a decision for Pete.
We don't have time to take this to Pete. You know he's not in a position to decide.
Stranger, you've easily been the deciding factor in today's fight.
Maybe.
What do you think we should do? He is the leader, but as his lieutenant, I have the authority to deliver justice on his behalf. Ronnie Jones, for the crimes of at least one count of espionage, conspiracy, and treason, leading to the loss of life of your fellow Roundels, I hereby banish you. Now leave! I don't ever want to see that shite stain you call a face again! Joan, you may lay claim to Ronnie's assets as you see fit.
What?
What, with all this commotion, one might think you're a hero. Might. But might isn't enough for Prince Davies. Yes, I suggest you make yourself presentable immediately. Someone of your style might need some direction in that matter.
Get fucked.
Get proper attire at either Chez Chanel or Casa di Milano. Both are brilliant designers, if a bit petty. I'm sure you can work something out. Pull your hat out your eyes and get it properly fitted, you nutty.
Yeah, that. So, trying to think, who was the guy? Okay, I think we might be on the right track now, actually. I think I had to complete that quest prior. Which actually explains why I am an idiot. .005, the atom's not enough. That's cool. Let's see what goodies you guys have. We got from Milano.
Welcome to Casa di Milano. What can I do for you? Don't take this the wrong way, but you might want to check out my discounted section with last season's styles. They might be more,
bless you, Tom,
in your budget. Really? I was intrigued when you walked in the door, but now I'm interested. Go on, interest me some more. Let me see that, would you? Well, this might be a problem. He doesn't mention money at all. Do you know anyone who can eat exposure?
Yes, apparently
I don't
designers.
work for free, not even for kings. But
Tom.
my price isn't always in tickets.
Bless you.
I have a few discreet errands that I need some. Just pick up some fabric for me. It was while you're there, you should also speak to the local shop attendants. Finally, stop by Greta's place.
It is indeed set. Yeah, 250 is the minimum.
But I need her that day. Semantics. You say sabotage. I say it's competitive business practices. Suit yourself.
Oh yeah, this is a banger.
Right. Right.
You guys are just chaotic.
Please go away. I despise beggars. That's a different story.
Music.
Oh wow. Typical. Patrick Smith's with his commands, but no mention of money. You're almost adorable. Even as a slave, you might only be worth half. Maybe. Yes. Help me with a few delicate.
I don't want to do errands.
3 simple little things. Pick up a delivery of some divine fabric that has been erroneously sent to Casa de Milano. That swine has no idea
I don't know.
how to even
Not in the
use
foundation.
it properly. Speak with Greta Golightly. She really must stop her and remove the garish display. Oh darling, I would never dream of it's clear I can outdesign that Larry git without... I'm not a lowly seamstress. I'm a designer.
Good day. What can I do for you? I beg your pardon. That happens to be the latest fashion.
There are no
But
synths.
judging by your apparel, I presume that may be lost on you. But we can certainly find something that fits your... well... Good day. What can I do?
It's a bit annoying, these guys are.
Ah, yes, well, the customer's always right.
Because
after
there are.
all.
It's a different Fallout entirely. Yes, they took it down. Good. Why is this telling me to go somewhere out here, maybe? No, this is looking bugged. Me. I'm a very good boy. Onyx is a great boy. Right, Barty.
Can I help you? You're getting in the way. You ain't their regular lackey. I don't have time to deal.
Luckily, I have a level up. I do need to do charisma. Oh no, it's perception, isn't it? What was that needed?
Boy, can I
Me.
help you?
I'm the very good
You're
boy.
getting in the way.
Yes, charisma. Okay.
Apologies. Guess we both need to pay more attention.
I'm an idiot.
I saw what you did at the Battle of Hurly-Burly.
Boy, can I
Glad
help
you're sticking
you?
around.
You're getting in the way.
Thanks. I'm not what I'm on.
Watch where you're going.
I did say I was going to do that one next, so... You know what? Let's just stick to what I was going to do. We'll do charisma.
Boy, can I help you? You're getting in the way.
You're going to get in my way in a minute.
You must be the poor lad what's holding all this inside. Sign it.
Thanks. Got anything on you? No. Okay. You keep losing all your goodies, Tom. Not ideal.
Have you run my errands?
I have.
I don't measure. I will not stoop to your disgusting. Then why are you back?
Very nice. Well, what other errands have we got to do? Stop that. Stop Greta from walking in Milana's show. About to break some legs. I think Onyx gets to break some legs. Do 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 do. Yeah, I think you've broken it. That's not a me thing though. That's a stream elements thing. I put my hands up to that. Yeah, see, what you've done there is you've won too much and the casinos have gone. Go fuck yourselves. It's probably the cooldown.
Pull your hat out of your...
Fucking move. Oh, it's chained. Hello there. I've come to break your legs.
Oh, another fan. I don't sign weird body parts anymore.
Yes, I'm not a fan.
Lundgren's here in case you get any funny ideas.
And here's me
You
able to
know
get my
what?
ass signed.
So long as you're paying.
Fair enough.
I haven't been paid in 3 weeks, you know. Let
Moving
me
on.
guess. Milano wants me in another outfit. And why not? You've got my attention.
Also have your attention.
How dare you speak to me like that?
Oh, you fuck! You're a fiery boy.
I was so attacks again. Your outfit. I want to off him and little boys for everything they've done.
Nothing to see here, guys. Say that, Churchill. They were a spicy motherfucker.
All right, fine. The show's off.
Good.
And all future shows.
Good.
I'll only work for Chanel from now on.
Can I make tea yet? Still can't make tea. Getting a bit annoying, that. I want tea. I need to go on a tea hunt. Right, what you got to nick? More importantly. Nothing. You're actually quite shit, Greta.
Every day we take a little piece back what we lost.
Ba-da-da. Actually, that reminds me. I need to add in that quote. I'm going to add in your quote regarding onion rings. You just reminded me. The Wolf and Port. You're one of many quotes. I don't think I've gone the right way. I have gone the right way. Oh, Chanel!
Have you run my errands?
I have.
Good. Change now. I don't want even more people seeing filth walk out my door.
The ballistic weave armor mod. Nice. Yes. So let's look the part. Let's put a cigarette on. Oh yeah. Now we'll all have business. You can just smell the rads. Are you still streaming, Tom? Did you just nudge me? Hello, Patrick.
That's better. Meet me at the shop. I'll take you to see Prince Davies.
Alright, thanks.
For the shop, yes. For Prince Davies, why not? Prince Davies isn't quite who he used to be,
He's
but
a
I think
dickhead.
you'll see what I mean when you talk to him.
Pull your hat out your eyes and get it properly fitted, you numpty.
Get fucked. Move! We got to be port.
Sale on brooms. Oh no, wait. My programming is telling me we never have sales. Maybe you should buy something else.
Well, fuck you then. Don't want any. Oh, a hat. Got sidetracked by a hat. Oh. I feel like shit's about to get serious. It's gonna get comfortable. Right, shop. Hopefully now I'll get his fucking signature. Loading screen after loading screen after loading screen after loading screen after loading screen. Ba, 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 da, ba, ba. Alright, come on, dickweed. Let's get this done.
Watch where you're going. Wait
Oh.
for the light.
What light?
Now we go.
This guy is fucking weird. We don't like him.
Hello? See you, mate.
Prince Davies, I present the brave new roundel who turned the tide at the Battle of the Hurly-Burly.
Ah, the Tide Turner. The wandering wrong number. The battle brazen ball buster of Miller's men. Come in. Come in.
You might be coming on a bit strong, my prince.
Fuck. Oh, well. Hope I didn't offend you. Right as fucking rain. So long as the chems are on time.
Losing his brother, Prince Keith, has been especially hard on us all. The prince sometimes uses aids to help ease the pain. Can you show at least a little tax?
Nah, I like
Miller
chems.
mercilessly struck him down at the Battle of the Bang Bang. Prince Pete rallied us and got us to safety. Without his leadership, the Roundels would be no more.
My hand held his head. The half that wasn't split off by Miller's bloody hammer.
It's okay, my prince.
No, it's not. Keith. Where's Keith's body? What did you do with him? I need to be with him. Maybe we can save him. Moon knows all sorts of things. Maybe he can save him, Patrick. Maybe he can save him.
I think we should take some Carmex. You'll feel better, Prince Pete. I'll hold him. Jab him in the arm gently. Yes, it will. Time for us to take our leave.
Well,
I swear the sun rises
It's probably
early when
best
you're
you
dancing.
speak with Mike or Dennis. While they're not princes, they basically run the day-to-day. Their views on how to help the Roundels are very different. I doubt you can help them both with whatever their plans are.
I bet I can.
Hello? I told you, I'm not signing it.
You fucking will.
If your clothes don't say something, you might as well not exist.
Okay, I'm going to do this quest line and hope that it enables me to do that final quest for the fucking Westminster. Because if not, it's going to be quite annoying. Bit dark, isn't it? Didn't even go tell lights on. Well, it's not plugged in.
Apologies. Guess we both need to pay more attention.
It's really done much difference, has it? It's a bit better. There we go. Right. Oh. I'm gonna say I'm going back to the pub, aren't I? The wolf and the board. Oh, it's that geezer again.
I see you met Davies. How is he today?
Off his nut.
Less and less, I'm afraid. After his brother died, the chems helped a bit.
Even then he was a bit dodgy. Some days he was the old Pete. Others, well, you just saw what the other days looked like.
That's not my place. I serve Prince Davies. Happily so. Nothing more, nothing less. I've business at the Oberon. Meet me there. I have some things I want to discuss with you.
Nope. What do you say?
I see you met Prince Davies, and judging by your face, it
dropped a
wasn't
bottle.
what you were expecting.
The man's
Have
addled.
some respect. Helping
Like his
Pete
beard.
Cope has come at a high price. Because if I didn't, he'd just find his own poison. I'd rather know he wasn't getting laced chems, or just taking too much at once. But I think there might be a better way to help him. It's a
That
bit
guy
of a
doing?
delicate plan, so let's talk it over at Marb House. Meet me when you're ready.
But you're
Pull your
right
hat
here.
out your eyes and get it properly fitted, you numpty.
I want to steal one of his hats. I really want to steal one of his hats. I want a hat. Oh. Only you. Love this song. Oh, I don't like that. Okay, so they're both near here. Okay, we'll go to Oberon first. Did you see that mod list I sent you, by the way, Pinky, of that Fallout 4 extended story? That makes you want to play vanilla again. Is that down a bit? There. It's better. What's that? Mega fist. Get fucked. Yeah, get him, Churchill. Harp House. Moroccan. This is giving. I'm gonna have to make a choice. Don't know what choice though. Going down? This is giving you underground. No, not underground, railroad.
I'm glad you showed up. Well, you don't need to be a detective to figure out I'm the one supplying chems to Prince Pete. Because if I didn't, he'd have found another supplier. And another supplier wouldn't have rationed him. You're right, I didn't. I called you here to help me get Prince Pete clean. It won't be easy. Because if someone notices he's missing, there'll be a riot. It's in the Roundel's best interest to get Prince Pete back. But before I say anything else, I need your word that this stay between us.
Well, I don't know, to be fair.
And we're
That's
inviting
giving
everyone
I'm
with a
going
grudge
to
to come
fuck
attack.
something up.
Or worse, we'll start attacking each other. Without Pete, there's a power vacuum. And there are people like Dennis waiting for their chance to lead.
Just on my word.
Good, because we need to move fast. I've already identified the perfect safe house, right here in Hackney. I need you to scope it out, make sure and that it has all the necessary... A sturdy door. Pete may not have his old strength, but even a weakened... A cooler. That's essential to hold the detox supplies. And a bed. He's still a prince. This process will be rough. Joke all you want. While you're...
Okay, well, let's speak to the other goober first. Unless he says the same thing. And they both want me to get Pete clean. Which, to be fair, I don't have anything I want to do. Chems are great. Ranley is a chem head. So he's in my best interest. Have you given up gambling now, Lyndon? Where's the other guy? Not safe house. I actually went the wrong way. No, you have not. Go all in. You know you want to. Also, it's not just slots that are there, Lyndon. If you do exclamation mark roulette, there is roulette. Why not let me in? Well, I thought that was roulette. Clearly not. I haven't seen my dog in a while. I don't know where he is. Which is worrying. The dog has gone walkies. Yet again.
I don't care, Dennis. The Roundels need you. You, not a chem-addled leader past his prime.
Prince Davies is a hero!
He is. But so are you. And if you don't step up, we're going to fall. The Battle of Hurly-Burly was just a taste of what Miller's men are up to.
What would you have me do? Kill him?
Maybe.
And every Roundel would take up arms against me. It would be
Betrayal.
the end of us.
Hello.
We're not murdering
Not.
Prince Davies.
Getting Dennis to lead. You, in a sense. But not for what you're implying.
I don't think I want to kill
Him
Prince.
to do what exactly?
Help us acquire a few things to help our prince sleep. Not die. Just in a quiet, peaceful coma.
So overdose.
3 doses of Carmex should do it.
And if anyone found out, they'd blame Rosie and Guy. Or maybe even Manchester Mike.
Exactly. Not you. But don't worry. No one will find out.
I have not played Dark Side yet. It is installed. It is ready to
and
play.
with you in charge officially, we'll be a
I
force
will be
no
giving
one
it
can
a
stop.
go
But
probably
how can I buy
tomorrow
up
evening.
Calmex without everyone suspecting?
How you doing now,
That's
Doodle?
where our friend comes in. You can buy it from merchants out in the streets. There are plenty since Prince Davies doesn't have the will to stop them anymore. There are plenty of junky hooligans in Hackney you can now
Yeah,
buy
not
from.
too bad, thanks, dude.
Or just make it. You seem to know your way around chems. Meet us at the shop when you're ready.
Okay, well, potentially a Dark Side stream. What should we do? Should we help Prince? Or should we kill him? I have no idea if it's going to affect any of the gameplay. You reckon Vekoma? I'm not too sure. So Lyndon reckons coma. I'm gonna let you guys decide what I do here. No, the leader of this gang, per se. So we got kill and we got get him sober. You've only got a minute on this, by the way. Then what do we do if it's a draw? I don't know. There's a poll above, Lyndon. Get him sober. Looks like Get him sober's going to win. Get him sober is the winner. So we're not going to betray him. We're going to get him sober. But is this going to bite us in the arse? Probably. How's your week been, Doodle? Are you ready for the next Foxhole War? Oh, I'm not sure if I am. Absolutely. Just the question is, like, how bad is it gonna fuck me in the ass? Jolly good. Have you seen the update for No Man's Sky? This is for everyone, by the way. Because they released the Voyagers update, and holy fuck, it looks amazing. All we need to do now is introduce a better combat system, then I'm all over it. And it'll probably be a Starfield killer for me. But now you can fly frigate-class planes and make your... not planes. Spaceships, and also make your own spaceships. Huge. You don't follow No Man's Sky? Oh, mate. Have you played it? It's a great game. Fucking amazing. In fact, No Man's Sky was the first game I ever streamed. What does that say? The Chosen One. Am I the Chosen One? Oh. I like this. Is it now? Okay, looks like I'm going to have to download that as well. I think you like No Man's Sky. I do think you like it. I enjoyed Starfield when it came out. Hell, I bought an Xbox Series X just so I could play it. And then I sold it about 4 months later. But no, Starfield I thoroughly enjoyed. What's in this? Oh, I was realised. Dog's back. Oh, it's beef eaters. Beef eaters bad. Ow.
What the?
Oh, beef eats are very bad. Beef eats are very bad. I got a death animation while stim packing. Ouch. Oh no, not fucking two. Well, exactly. I was the exact same. Once I'd completed it, you know, New Game Plus, there is no real benefit to it. You know, and it's a bit repetitive to a certain point. So I was kind of happy that once I played it... Oh, fuck, I missed. You think you'll see a what? Hey, come on. Oh, no, Churchill, what are you doing? I missed. I got hit. I am in danger. Oh, fuck, you're legendary. You did miss a death. Yeah, but not insta heal, unfortunately, which is annoying. But I also forgot about that. Fuck off, yeah, fucking mutatey fuck. I mean, I would love to play Starfield again. I don't know. It's something about Starfield that doesn't scream free download, really. Hey, what was your goal? You had a goal? Whoa! More you, fuck off. Or you fuck off. I'm being mauled to death by 3 dogs. This calls Flamey. Ow.
Stop fighting back!
Fuck off. You have a laser rifle. I don't want Lyndon to get his goal. No. I'm not wearing my fucking armor. That's why. I'm wearing that stupid coat. Wrong time, Lyndon. Don't hurt me. I'm sorry. Oh, fuck! That was the worst time for the keyboard cat. Okay, so simple solution to this. You're a dick. Any melee. Well, the only melee I've got is my shock prod. Which isn't going to help me. So this is going to be fun. Not if I take some chems. I mean, I was always going to hit 40 deaths regardless. No worries, dude. I will catch you probably tomorrow. Rest easy, dude. And I'll speak to you later. Get fucked. Get fucked. You didn't say anything about not taking chems, Lyndon.
Huh?
Yeah.
That dog's gonna fuck me. Die! Why are you not fighting me? Surprise! Charlie! Oh, no, no, no! You have a shotgun. This is not fair. You trying to hit my dog with a tennis racket? You want some? I'll give it to you. Why are you not fighting me?
Oh God, why? Taste this. Time to feed. Back off.
Yeah, no thank you. Bye bye.
I think I'll call you. Lunch.
Melee is great sometimes, not all the time though.
I'm all tossed.
I just didn't think I was going to achieve that. Well, thank you, Lyndon. It was like your melee choice actually paid off. What's that? Sardines tin, no blood pack, expired syringe. It's a crack den essentially is what I'm getting here. They're all empty. The fuck? Hello? Oh. Dog food. We like dog food. Love me. What are you? Vegetable starch. Vegetable starch is very useful in 76. Very useful in 76. Which I actually re-downloaded last night. Not last night, the other night. I got an itch to play it. A military torch. Ooh. So maybe in the future I will also play 76 as well. Soap. Soap for Lyndon. All the dirty dishes. Hello, anybody else want to die today? Just you. Fix the fridge, fix the bed, replace the doors. Clean up the gore. How do I clean up the gore? Okay, does this mean I'm going to have to get more fucking materials? I will be going into Darktide completely blank. For fuck's sake. Fiberglass rubbers. Right, okay. Know what I'm going to do, Churchill. We are going to just go back to my little house. I can grab some stuff. See, 40k, I can only imagine weapons being... Well, weapons. Weapons are going to be elite to me. I don't want local map. For fuck's sake, right, okay. So I need, what's that? Fiberglass, rubber and steel, which I probably have somewhere. That's just steel. That's done. I probably have that. I don't have that, so that's just steel and cloth. What's down here? Ah. Oh, really? Is that not what Darktide is? So I'm pretty sure on the cover it's someone from the Space Marines, no? That's a nice melee weapon. That's a very nice melee weapon. Actually, can I get antiseptic some stuff in here? No, probably not, actually. Oh, damn it. I cannot fast travel from this location. You know what? I don't like that. Well, they've not even left me a single Nuka-Cola either, the bastards. Oh, hello. They're all bottles though. I don't want bottles, I want actual goodies. I don't know what that last one is, but you had me at bolt. I love bolt action weapons. I'm a sucker for them. Hello, don't mind me. Oh wow, you were literally dying on the toilet. Can't think of anything worse. See, you saying that just means that I won't. Like, at all. That probably means I'm going to be the worst. Ever. Yeah, see, which is probably the only reason why Lyndon's referenced that to me. Look, my Dark Time gameplay will not be the same as my Fallout gameplay. I promise you. Maybe. You know quite a bit about the lore, don't you, Doodle? Yeah, see, 15 years, I've probably started a bit too late. See, I'll take that. So essentially, you're just a hench as fuck little person. Put me with that and a bolt action rifle. I'm a very happy Onyx. I'm a very happy Onyx, in fact. No rattling? One, no rattling. The fuck's a rattling? See, I remember seeing somewhere, I can't remember if it was a clip on YouTube or TikTok, but it was this big fuck off Space Marine guy came into this little hallway with a minigun of some kind and just literally drilled it into this big fucking thing and just pummeled it to death. It looked fucking awesome. And to this day, I have no idea what it was. Not a clue. I really wish I did. Look, it feels really dark in here. Oh, really dark. Yeah, I need to sort out my lighting. Oh, that's not really cutting anymore, is it? Yeah, but I've got a light on, I've got a lamp on. Clearly it's not enough. I have a light right there. I'm going to plug in. See if it looks any better. Oh! There it is. Redacting on the go, guys. Where the fuck's that thing? There we go. Yeah, that's a bit better, I suppose. Better than nothing. Oh, I forgot I was using hypo. I feel like I've missed out on some stuff in the chat here. Send me a link to it, Lyndon. If it's something I absolutely have to watch, you know, I won't remember what it is. So you will have to you will have to show me. Send it me. Sorry. Eee. I don't remember what it was I needed to grab. I know it was fiberglass. Aspiration means a dead person brought back to life. So you think... Okay, so maybe that is what I was thinking of then, or what I saw. It sounds like it. Need a cloth antiseptic. Ooh. I don't think I have any antiseptic. I don't have any antiseptic, and I don't think I picked it up either. Give me 1 second. I don't think I did pick up antiseptic at all. But see, the term dreadnought does ring a bell, so it probably is a dreadnought. See, I feel like, you know what? If you, Doodle, or anyone really, if you want to show me what some of these things are in my Discord, feel free to put some photos in there. Because I'm actually quite curious. Well, that's not something I thought I'd say about 40k either. I'm actually getting quite excited to play that 40k now, to be honest. I need to put a cooldown. Are you finished? Are you quite finished? I mean, I did say I was pretty interested beforehand. I'm not moaning about it. I'm not moaning about it at all. Right, I think I have enough. But just to be safe, I'm going to go to that market as well. Just because I'm antiseptic from that weird doctor. So I feel like that might be beneficial. Oh, God. Oh. Banger. No, Tom, it is not. It's this one. You can't really see that, can you? It's Nexus Triple Raspberry Ice. It's mine and Leah's go-to. And to be fair, we thought we'd try out some new flavours the other day. Nah, we're gonna stick to what we know from now on. No, this camera it's great, but depending on how the whole streaming thing goes with me return, well, actually, I feel like it's going really well actually. I might buy an Elgato face cam. Oh, I can't get fucking what's names either. Shit. I've got a Logitech Streamcam. It was a gift I got fucking ages ago. I don't want to buy shit I don't need to buy, so I'm not going to fucking get that.
My hounds learned to swim today.
Oh, get
so
fucked.
Proud of them.
No, you're not. Did I dump stuff in here? I did. I know I had antiseptic. Fuck you. Random thing happening in there. See, the C920 and C922, I did have one. I've still got it somewhere as well, but I did not like it at all. This I could do all sorts with. And I can integrate with this with OBS quite nicely.
You're keen, aren't you? Take a look at what I have in stock.
Well, they look fun. I might have to treat myself. Not to a weapon, but a new webcam at some point. Actually, Tom, have you seen the new monitor thing by Corsair? I really fucking want one. I really want one. They look really cool. Oh, it actually looked really useful. It was Hackney I was in, wasn't it? Lyndon, you have harassed me with a DM. I'm not going to watch that now, but I will watch it later. Watch it now? Okay, fine. You guys win. How long is it?
Build a website.
It's 12 minutes long. Fuck no. You get 12 minutes of quality quality gameplay instead.
Nut.
Nut. Oh, Doodle. Not sure if you saw as well. But from Friday 6 PM, that is my that's for start time for the 24-hour stream. Get fucked, Lyndon. You're bullying me. Bully the streamer. Yep, well, Friday from 6:45, I think I put. Or 6:30, I can't remember. I know, from 6, actually. So yeah, Friday 29th at 6 PM. 24-hour stream start. And yeah. I'll be dead by 5 minutes past 6. Not a weakling. I shamed a 40k cesspit. I'm still wearing this stupid fucking suit as well. Hey, look. I've told you I'll play. I will be playing it. Fiberglass, rubber... Oh, I've got to pick up rubber. Arrgh. I'm an idiot. Dog, what you got on you? Nothing. Useless dog. You know what, let's just pick up random shit. Surely something here has rubber. An antiseptic. No, not antiseptic. You know what I mean. Oh, I can't pick up all those. Give me a rubber. What can give me rubber? No. I call bullshit. You don't serve. Haha! That's such a Tom thing to say. I want all the plates. Don't know why. Give me all the dinner forks. I want multi-food. Peppermill. I'm encumbered. I don't care right now. Okay, nothing in there. I'm going to tell you. That is very true. You did not pull out, and now you are paying the price. But I think you're secretly happy with that. I don't care what you say. I'm picking up all this shit. We have it. Dog, come here. I don't need this junk anymore. Hold my junk. Bear is found. What? Oh yeah, because I don't want to kill him. Fuck him. That looks pointy. Dog! Hold my junk. Yeah, but Tom, you're going to be a great dad, I think. But no, I don't think. I know. I'd best be the godfather. What are you clipping? Huh? What the fuck are you clipping? What did I say? What did I say? Did I say something out of context? Which I'm probably going to regret later. I bet you it is. Oh wait, or is it dog hold my junk? See if this works. Quote add dog hold my. See if that works. Yeah, there you go. Amazing. Always saying things out of fucking context. Tom, have you won at all yet today? Because I don't think you have. What's the lighting set? Cool. That's making it darker. Yeah, that light, I like that. Oh, yes, I like that one. It's softer. It's not rigged. Not rigged at all. You just can't do it, Tom. You know what? Let me edit that right away, because I will forget. Quotes. Dog. Hold my junk. So now, theoretically, if you do the quote command again, that should now come up. And then in future, when I say stupid shit, we can get a catalogue of them. And then random ones can appear. There we go. You just spunked all your points. Well, that's what you get for spunking up the wall. Hey! That joke for you. No, he needs to do quote add. That is a great idea. I am going to implement. You know, I'm going to make a note of that now, actually. That is a great idea. Yeah, you need to do exclamation mark quote add when yeah. Just like that. You know what, Lyndon? I'll give you that. You get 5,000 points. You little gambling addict. I've just done it. So now if you do it again. Lyndon, do me a favour. Message me. Message me what you just said about text-to-speech. Please. So I like that idea a lot. And Tom, I don't know why you haven't won once yet. I honestly have no idea. I expect you to win at least once or twice now. There's no keyboard cat, so there's not a song, not a tune.
Not.
Not. Nutty nut nut. Oh, here he is. Requires key.
There's a problem.
Oh, what?
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
A new little hitch in the plan at Hooligans.
No, it won't do. It'll always do one at a time.
This isn't
always.
their usual territory. The Blighters are getting bolder every day. They need to go. They're camped out on the most direct route to the safe house. Good to hear. When the sun's in your eyes, even you look proper dressed.
Right. Let's go kill some people. Wah, 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 wah. I need a soundboard on my stream deck. But yeah, Tom, did you see what I said about the new Corsair screen deck thingy? I can't remember what it was called. It's like a really long monitor, which you can add on widgets to. I might actually pick one up. It is very tempting. I just don't know how much they cost yet. Yes, Tom is having a baby. I did say that to you, Sidious Goose. You silly goose. I'll send you a link to it later on, Tom. Yes, Tom is having a baby bell. He's having a baby cheese. And I am going to be godfather. He just does not know it yet. Hardcore Cheese and Toast Jr. That sounds like some weird... What the fuck? Oh, some mangy fox. Oh, poor fox. Tom's going to turn into a mature cheese. Can we go up and round? I don't think I can. I did say mangy, but it's not mangy. I'm an idiot. What are you hacking up? Tom's pregnant, yes. Cathedral sit on mild. What do you mean? No, I'm going to be Godfather Onyx. So I can just be called the Godfather. What a point! Oh no, that wasn't pointless. Oh. Look, leave me alone, Noodle. Alright. Knob cheese to baby in 9 months. So what? That's disgusting, Tom. Oh no! Oh fuck! You have guns. I don't. Onyx is an idiot. Cat food. Fuck! I'm addicted again. But is whatever that... I mean... Astartes, is that even what Lyndon sent me? I don't know. For all I know, it isn't. Well, I don't fucking know. Yeah, but Lyndon don't... Lyndon is... Like, he doesn't know a lot. Bless him.
I'll give you that one.
Oh, that's nearly a death. Tom. What the fuck? Nah. I like being called Digital Onyx, not Analog Onyx. You would mock the fuck out of me if I was called that. Feel my wrath. I missed every shot. Don't feel my wrath. I mean,
Need backup over here.
it's your job to mock me, so you're fine. If you don't mock me, you're doing it all wrong. Come on, you fucker. Expose your leg to me. And I still missed. Missed again. What the fuck? Get fucked. Oh, there's another one. Hello. Your time has come. No, my time has come. But they're not dead. Are they?
Nothing's faster than a mod. Strange. Watch where you're going.
Okay, yeah, I didn't kill them. Come on. The Onyx multiverse. Look. I won't change my name. Alright. I enjoy being called an Onyx. And the abuse that comes with it. The fuck? I'd like to go back there now. Yes, we're gonna meet me there. But to be fair though, I did, and I'm happy that I didn't. I did contemplate changing my name. I don't know what, I can't remember what it was to, but I'm happy I stuck with Digital Onyx. I thoroughly enjoy it. Get fucked, Lyndon. Okay, that's some of these names are ridiculous. What? To Von London? Or Van Linden with an A instead of an E? Thank you, Pig. Which one is it? Doodle, get fucked. You don't get a say in this, Doodle. You got a 1? Oh, fuck me, you got a big one as well. You got a 39,000. Nice one. Is he dead yet?
Pete's in worse shape than I feared.
Does that mean I've got to do more shit for you now? I don't want to talk to the floor. No, I still don't want to talk to the floor.
It means we need an extra step in the detox process. He's got all kinds of illnesses and frailties from years of living with a compromised immune system. He's so weak, going straight into a detox would likely kill him.
I'm a noob to the community, alright?
Well,
what does he need to do now?
Judging by the looks of him, we'll need 3 doses of antibiotics. And probably some Morphex to help him through the worst of it. And hurry. The longer we... I swear the sun rises earlier when you're out dancing. Do you have everything?
I've got some things. It might not be enough.
This isn't enough. We need 3 antibiotics and 1 Morphex.
Well, how about you go out and fucking find it yourself?
Everything? Hurry. We can't start without them.
I'm not racist. Three antibiotics and 1 morphine, 1 Morphex. My lord. Wait. Dog.
If your clothes don't say something.
Oh, and antiseptic antibiotics.
Then you might as well not exist. Do you have everything? This isn't enough. We need
Where the
3
fuck do we get antibiotics
and
from? The people have spoken. No.
One Morphex.
Can you craft? Yeah, but I guarantee you I don't have any of the supplies to make them. Just what's gonna screw me. I'm a bad hoarder. I mean, to be fair, I am surprised there's not some kind of Fallout pharmacy in this. Apart from, you know, the Thames Marketplace. I've probably got some more some antibiotics in my base somewhere. I definitely won't have Morphex. Antibiotics I might. Unless there's like a bigger store that you know. Or a vendor. Doodle. Oh, you're a funny fucker, aren't you? In your doodle. Eh? I'm pretty sure I've got some. Got everything to do with it.
From my head, thank you.
Absolutely everything. The fuck? Who's shooting at me? What the fuck? I don't understand who's shooting at me. Oh, it's you fuckers again. You've respawned. I didn't know you respawned after so long. Luckily, you're quite easy to kill. I say that as I'm about to die. Get fucked, Tom. Stop moving, you fuck. I need to stop using this gun as well. Do I have any spicy stuff? I have that. That might work. What the fuck? Bullshit. Bullshit. Oh no, he saw it. Lyndon would not miss her death. That one was bullshit. Come on, load times. What if there's a mod to make these load times a bit quicker as well? Because they are a bit tedious. Oh, I smell food. I think the missus is cooking. I think. I hope.
Your mitts away from my head, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to you. I suppose the hospital could have some, actually, maybe. Churchill, no. We're not fighting enemies. I don't want to fight an enemy again. Let's just not these fuckers. Lyndon is always disappointed in me. I disappoint Lyndon on a daily. Alright. Come on. Please tell me I've got antibiotics. I've got one. I'll take that. And Carmex. Which I have 0. Sound. I gave you all my Carmex, you fucking crackhead. I've got tea bags though. You know what? You think the hospital would have a vendor, wouldn't you? Let's see if it does. I bet you it doesn't. Even though I'm about to use all my fucking caps just to buy this crackhead. You are what? What are you, Lyndon? Oh, fuck. What the hell? Oh, my air monitor just broke. It's just come undone. That's okay. It's just come undone. Oh, this is a long load screen, man. Come on, load screens. Hurry up. Manifest. Lyndon, manifest for me. You seem to be good at manifesting. See if that was about to crash. Oh, no, there we go. You manifested. Thank you. But now, you'll load again. Hopefully this one isn't too bad. Yeah, it's kind of fucky, actually. It's the one bad thing that actually annoys me about this mod is the load times. It's on an SSD as well, so it shouldn't be loading this long. Hey. Hello.
What the?
Oh. Oh, they're cultists. Oh, for fuck's sake, I don't want to be killing people. Not a lot, actually. Not a lot at all. I tend to be quite,
King Mithras has shown me your true
quite particular
nature.
with junk. You fucker.
My righteousness is my
How are you hitting me, but I can't hit you, you fuck? Nah, not having this. Hey, SquanchPog, thank you for the follow. How you doing? Welcome in. I'm having my ass handed to me by cultists, and I don't like it. And I'm being bullied by Lyndon. Hello, Jahammers. Hey, it's Archibald. How you doing, Arch? Macy, how are you doing? You're probably going to witness me die. Back off. I'm using all the wrong gear. Back off! Second, this is not going to go down well. At all. That's very slightly annoying. You did need to add in those extra thousands. What are you on about? I don't know what she's making. I can smell food, and it's making me hungry, even though I ate earlier. Look, Tom, I tried to shoot the prick, alright? But the prick shot me instead. This calls for fire. This calls for fire. Say hello to my little friend. This is not going to work the way I wanted it to. It's getting to a point where I need to start looking at my weapons.
Pitiful existence will end in my glorious retribution.
Don't hit my dog.
Mithras,
Get fucked.
No.
I'm wasting all my ammo on those people.
My faith is my sword. Perish, you disgusting beast. Stop your murder.
Die. Oh, I missed.
Submit to your...
Oh, wait. I have a shotgun. What am I doing? You just reminded me. Wow, I haven't got a machete, actually. Oh, fuck that. No, I've got a sword. Well, that could have gone a lot better, actually.
Your soul from its disgusting...
Yeah, I'm not too sure what Leah is making for food. I can smell something, though. Doodle, I hope to fuck I can find antibiotics here. Yeah, see, this is why I like bolt action now.
Into the darkness, where you belong. Your pathetic flesh to
The
our
fuck?
righteous cause.
Does here a turret go?
I will remove your disgusting spirit.
Antiseptic, not antibiotics.
Yeah.
Borderlands. Oh wait, yes, I forgot. There's a new Borderlands coming out. I completely forgot. Yes, I am hyped for that actually. Mainly because I forgot about it. What the fuck?
You, the disgusting creature, has evaded us. But we should
Yeah, no worries, Tom. Wait, I'm confused, Doodle. Have I said something that you did wrong, but you didn't actually do wrong?
I feel the aura of a skeptic.
I'm currently having my ass handed to me, so I'm a bit confused right now. Yes, Churchill. Thank you, Churchill.
The demon uses its strength.
How is Cam? Hope he is all good. Did you get back home safe through the night?
And once you are awake, you shall remain awake eternally.
I'm going to die. I'm already addicted to dog food, so I may as well crack on with it. Give me meds. You're not giving me the meds I want. I swear to God, there best be antibiotics in this hospital. Oh. Ems? Hero? Well, I could be a hero. You shanker?
The heathen isn't worth the
Shut up!
effort.
Oh, wait. Drugs. Okay. Search, because I need that for future. But you can't make antibiotics here. You can make antibiotics. Acid and glowing fungus. I have none of them available to me. It's spelt the correct way. Not the stupid American way. And you know what, Tom? I need you in an argument for, regarding that. Because I'm tired of having the same arguments about how's aluminium spec? It's aluminum. No, get fucked. It's aluminium. I browse. Sidious Goose, Macy has asked what you are making for dinner. I can smell something. And it's making me hungry. Shall I wait for next stream? You await the next stream. I mean, to be fair, there's a very high chance I will play Dark Tide on the next stream, just so I can give it a go. Or maybe use it as a bit of a pre-stream game, maybe?
Who's there?
Oh, shut up. Oh, a pasty. A meat pie or a pork pie, a teapot, milk. There's a tea bag. I can make a cup of tea.
Me.
Shut up. I'll disgust everyone. Ran away, but no antibiotics. No, my luck. This dog's not going to go, oh, I can't carry anymore. They're actually quite heavy. Don't know why I've got that on me. I'm sorry, what are you waffling on about, Tom? How is it we've gone from, how do you spell aluminium, or how do you say aluminium, to Danes? Make that make sense. Stim pack, IV bag, not what I want. I need fucking antibiotics. Oh, was it? Yes, but Doodle, that's because you like being extra. Like, very extra. You know what?
Powering up.
Yes, I'm a friendly guy. Thank you. But you wouldn't go up to a random person and call it bauxite, would you? Or would you? I bet you would, actually. Just because. That was not worth the clip. Well, I'm annoyed because I came to a hospital hoping to find antibiotics and I found fuck all. I also think I missed out somewhere. I did.
I see you. Time to die, idolater. Oh. Yeah. No.
Move, you fuck. Please don't kill me. Clarity, I don't need that. Come on, surely there's antibiotics in here somewhere. Human head. But I can't actually pick up. Oh, I can play doctor. I don't want scissors. I want the head. The head's decorative. Doodle, why is there no antibiotics here? What else? Something's gonna try and screw me. Orderly uniforms, spectacles. Oh, a nice cold beer does sound nice. I just want antibiotics, man. Like you think. Hospital, antibiotics, perfect place. Oh. That's... Why are you moving? Hello, antibiotics, oil can, morph, blood pack. Nothing of use. Yeah, but I only need one Morphex. It's antibiotics I had none of. Just what I'm trying to chase more. But it ain't looking positive. So yeah, it's just like a loose end for me. I can't actually remember where all the vendors are either. Like the only vendors I know is Thames Haven Market. Well, that is the only one I know actually. I kind of can't think of any others. Actually, no, the Imperial War Museum does. Yeah, the Imperial War Museum. I forgot about those. Let's just double check I haven't missed anything. I think I have. Glorious tickets. Just don't want to waste all my tickets on fucking getting this crackhead back up to normal. What time is it actually? Oh, I have run over by 10 minutes actually. Get a snack. Well, actually, come to think of it, we know the Thames Haven Market don't have any because we went there earlier. So I'm going to have to rely on the Tommies. If not, it's going to be a try and find materials and make them jobby. Excuse me. I've also noticed the further you go from the map, that's when the longest screen times go. So I'll never not enjoy going to the Imperial War Museum in this game. It just looks stunning. Tom, you have a problem. West Virginia. I don't know. She's not told me. And I don't think she's cooking for me either. I made some chicken skewers and rice earlier. Take me home to the place I belong.
Where did you come from?
The people demand to know. Well, you know what, Tom? Why didn't you go and ask her? Oh, I could take those.
We won't go quietly.
I
You
wish
count
this
on that.
fired. How cool would that be? You know what? I really wish you could. I bet you'd make a great cheese on toast. I remember you telling me where you live now, but I can't remember the exact location. Really? That's how long it will take me to get to Derby, but I can get to Derby in like half an hour. Surely I'm not closer.
How goes the hooligan hunt?
Your head in a minute. Wait, no, I thought you were the commissary. The fuck? Or is it up? I remember there being a vendor.
Welcome, welcome.
Oh, that's great, innit?
Take a look.
Yeah, fuck that. Country roads. What do you mean? Why are there not more vendors here, man? I thought there was. I'm just fucking make it, aren't I? Yeah, I think I am.
You'd have to be insane to take on the Tommies.
Well, I want to take on the Thomas. Because you can't give me any fucking antibiotics, you prick. We got anything on you? Nah. Okay. I'll tell you what, actually. I do think we're going to end it there, though. Only because I don't want to do... I want to focus on a few other on a few things at the moment. Now, why is that not turning on? Turn on. Oh, that's span. But yeah. We are going to leave it there, though, I believe. So, thank you very much, guys, for hanging out. I might be on tomorrow for Dark Tide for a bit. Seeing how it is. So, Doodle, I will drop you a message. Wait. He's addicted. I'm telling you, he is fucking addicted, man. I'm not sure. I'll drop you a message around lunchtime. All depends on where with me, unfortunately. But I'm going to go and send you over to my other streamer friend's channel, who's currently playing Zomboid on a RP server. And to be honest with you, he's a great streamer, and I love supporting him. So we're going to go say hello to Mr. Abtots. Actually, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to go say hello to this other guy, actually. If this works. Probably won't work. For a run name. Yes, that has worked. Cool. Right, guys. I will catch you all tomorrow. Thank you again for the follows, the love, and just everything in general. You guys are fucking great. Tom, I'll make sure you get a cat on Friday. 100%. I'll even try and get a cat cam set up right here. How's that sound? But yeah, I will catch you all later on. Enjoy your evenings, guys, and I will see you on the other side. Adios.
Here, you get